Well, hello and welcome everyone to another Market Conversations. Jerry Hall checking in here from beautiful Costa Rica. So, folks, tonight's show, it's been an interesting last couple of months for me. In that, for the last 3 years, really, I've been in this really intense grind. When I say grind, I'm talking about a real concerted effort to maximize every penny, rubbing two nickels together to try to make 15 cents, right? Because I had such a small starting stake as an investor, and I had such lofty goals for myself. So these years of sacrifice, for a long time, it was really easy. It was really easy to sacrifice in that the portfolio was primarily XRP and the entire market from 2018 to 2020. The entire crypto market was down, and it was like, if you don't sell, you can't lose. The market will turn around. You just got to hang in there. That was really easy, truth be told, right? My money was in. And now all I needed to do was maintain this really low expenditure to stay alive until the market picked up. Well, we all know what's happened with COVID and the emergence of this digital asset space. You know, things have gone up, and I have implemented systems where I have like an edict, right? This general law. And that is, I only invest in projects that I can produce a yield from and that I believe have a high upside for capital appreciation of the underlying asset itself. And that's, over time, that's actually worked out to be pretty friggin' cool for me. I've also implemented strategies where I will collateralize a loan using my assets so that I can buy more assets. And as that asset appreciates, I pay off the loan and keep the difference. So if I borrow $10,000 and I buy $10,000 of Solano, and Solano goes up to $20,000, I sell $10,000 worth of Solano, I pay off the loan, and I'm sitting there with $10,000 worth of Solano. You get the idea. Okay. So anyway, that mixture of strategies of yield and collateralized loans and not spending a lot of money to live, it's produced a pretty wonderful little portfolio. But I'm not where I wanted to be. And then this opportunity comes to me. I find this piece of property, and it is gorgeous. The area is gorgeous. It has got a friggin' majestic waterfall. With this area below the waterfall, with a little bit of work, I can create like a dam and have this incredible swimming hole underneath this 60-foot waterfall on property that I own, and I can build a house next to it. Well, I want to do that, but my portfolio is not where I want it to be. And to realize this dream, as the portfolio sits right now, I will have to sell assets. I don't have enough assets in the places where I can collateralize a loan to finance this within my criteria, you know, where I feel comfortable with my, what we would call, loan to value ratio. And so for the last couple of months, it's been a tug of war inside of me with the goals that I'd set for myself and what I really want. And I don't think I'm alone. I think a lot of us will go through these mental exercises, these emotional states where maybe we're in conflict between this goal or that goal. Sometimes a process will not make each goal successful. Maybe you have to sacrifice one goal for another. Hi, Brady. Welcome to the show. So I wanted to dive into that, and I wanted to present for you kind of, my version of how I have done what I've done, but really not for me, for you guys. Maybe there's new people coming into this space. Hopefully, if you're new and you're watching this, you'll glean something from it. So before I get into that, let me say hi to the folks that have checked in first. Jungle Link's in the house. We got CKJ Cellmate, T Rich, Simon, Ellie Poole, Kelly Slade, nice to see you. JJ, always glad to have you. Crawford's here. Kathleen from Hawaii, aloha. We've got Kelly Slade. We've got DC Precise. SSS is in the house. And there appears to be on the counter a lot more of you that are watching than those of you that are participating in the chat. So welcome everyone. All right. So I put a title to this stream tonight, and I'm going to get into this in detail. But one of the things that is absolutely stunning to me is the community for which I've plugged myself into, whether that be on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube here, or through my Patreon group. The Patreon group is incredible. If you're new to investing, or you want to learn in depth the strategies that I've implemented to turn $23,000 into over $900,000 worth of value, join the Patreon group, right? Access to me once a month if you join the $100 tier. Once a week. And also a stake in the club's fund, which is funded 100%. All subscriptions go into the fund. And if you stay in the fund through the cycles, you will be eligible for profit sharing of all the profits that fund shares. There's also a $35 tier. You get to meet with me once a week and also participate in all the other club activities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, so that's there. If you're interested, I want to show you guys something. I'm going to throw this up on here. John Deaton, attorney at law, created an incredible tool that I'm going to encourage each and every one of you to go to, whether you like XRP or not, because it's really not about XRP. It's about this digital asset space. He's formulated this incredible digital entity that once you put in your info, populates all of the appropriate elected representatives that quote unquote supposedly represent you, and you can tell them how you feel about this space and what you'd like them to do. One of the things that we do know, and this has been confirmed because elected representatives have gone on record to say this, they react when the masses come at them, whether it's good or bad. When 40,000, 50,000, 100,000, 1 million people flood their offices with phone calls and emails about a topic, they take notice. Now, we have some wonderful politicians that are leading the charge for really responsible and rational crypto legislation, but we also have a lot of old stick in the muds. You know what I mean? And these are people that sit in important positions in different committees, both in the Senate and the House. I'm going to name and call out Maxine Waters. This lady does not get it. And unfortunately, she is the head of the House Financial Services Committee, which when bills are being created, right, new laws are being drafted, they go through a process before they ever get voted on by the House of Representatives or the Senate. Well, if they don't clear, if a bill or a proposed law doesn't clear a committee, it will never make it to the floor to get voted on, ever. So we need to let these people know that the digital asset space is not a fad. We're not talking about beanie babies here. We're talking about reshaping financial services. We're talking about reshaping the way really we all interact with value. And at its core, I honestly believe you take away the individual's financial insecurity, you will create prosperity. I think it's that simple. I think I can make that statement with 100% confidence. So anyway, please use the Connect to Congress feature at Crypto-Law US. Wonderful. All right. So let's get into this. So I'm going to speak for a little while and I'm going to show you some stuff. So let's start with this whole buy, borrow, die philosophy I've got. It really is not anything I created. I stole this from the wealthy. The wealthy have been using a process of buy, borrow, die for hundreds of years. So in a sentence, most of us will spend all our lives, or a majority of our lives, accumulating. All right? We accumulate stuff. The wealthy, what separates them from us is what they accumulate. They don't accumulate depreciating assets like cars and televisions and nice furniture and things of that nature. They do that later. What they do is they spend their time accumulating assets that will appreciate. Now, the borrow element that most of us grew up and spent a lot of our time doing was we borrow against our future prosperity. In other words, when I use Visa or I take a home loan or I do any of those things in the financial services world where I'm borrowing money, I am borrowing from future productivity, my future productivity. And that comes with a cost. The cost is the interest that I pay for that loan. Well, the difference between me and a wealthy person back in the day is a wealthy person would not borrow money like I borrowed money. What they would do is they would take these appreciating assets that they've accumulated or their families accumulated, and they would collateralize those, retaining ownership, and borrow at a rate lower, right? At a rate lower than the assets are appreciating. There's a lot of advantages to that particular strategy. One, there is no capital gains for taking a loan, whereas if you sell an asset to acquire something, you need money to pay rent or any of those kind of things. You sell an asset, you got a tax liability in the US and in most developed countries, at least all the Western civilizations. So anyway, I don't want to digress, but that's the borrow section. And those were the two major differences between me and wealthy people. And lastly is the die. My family, I'd say roughly middle class, right? Middle class. My grandparents did actually very well. They were the generation that fought World War II. They came from the silent generation, and after World War II, when they were in their, late 20s, prosperity was rampant. So they were able to buy assets relatively cheap. They were able to buy real estate relatively cheap. And they were in a workforce that was expanding, and wages were relatively high relative to what they had been in the past. That's the golden triangle for wealth accumulation, right? Low cost assets that will appreciate and wages that are higher than they were previously. That's a recipe for wealth. Well, my mom got the tail end of that, and I got no end of that. My adult life was spent in a world where assets were already high, real estate was already high and booming and climbing at a rate of sometimes 10 to 15% a year, depending upon what neighborhood you were in, and 3 to 8% even in bad neighborhoods, right? So it got harder. Not to mention the wages. I wasn't able to increase my hourly rate year over year at a rate that would stay commensurate with inflation. And now we have my son's generation where assets are at record high valuations. Wages are stagnant for the most part, other than a few technological sectors where the talent pool is very small. Therefore, wages have to be high to attract that talent. But if you're not a programmer, a roboticist, etc., you're most likely not seeing your wages increase at a rate that is commensurate with, i.e., the cost of living. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. So that's kind of the buy, borrow, die. So my family, every generation, my grandmother was able to leave my mom a little money, right? Which was wonderful. My mom left me like crumbs. And before I got into this digital asset space, I was literally projected to leave my son with nothing. Well, a lot of that's changed because of what I'm learning. And the difference between most people and the wealthy is when they die, they actually pass on assets, right? The assets that they had either maintained or accumulated, they pass on. And they pass on it, and there's a real tax advantage to this. For instance, I build, let's say, a $2 million portfolio. I pass it on to my son. The day I die, it's worth $2 million. Well, the value and tax basis for my son going forward is $2 million. He doesn't pay the tax basis that I had while I was alive. So dying is actually something that we all need to consider and put thought to if we're going to build something, right? You're going to build some wealth. You're going to need to plan for your death. Now, I don't want to die, and I'm not planning to die on a specific date, but I can tell you if I die, I've got a plan in place through a corporation and a trust to seamlessly, without probate, pass my wealth to my heirs. And I'm very happy about that because 3 years ago, it was just a dream. And now it's actually happening. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of what I really wanted to get into with this. And that is the evolution of a portfolio, right? Strategies and processes, i.e. buy, borrow, die. So with that being said, I'm going to put up on the screen my portfolio. Now this portfolio, and I'm going to have to go to this tab, so I will not be able to see the chat, folks, just to let you know, I will not be able to see the chat, but because I'm going to work the screen. But before I do, I can see the chat now. Let me address anything here we've got. Oh, some new people. Pete Kelly. All right, Pete Kelly. We got E.T. Addis is in the house. JJ Bitta Av. Oh, Bitta, I don't think I'll be home in time. Well, bummer. We got Yolo Buck is in the house. Dan Abramson. Now, Dan Abramson and I go back, I don't know, 30 years, 35 years. I don't know how long. I met Dan when I was a young man in recreational softball / basketball leagues. What a great guy. Hey, Dan, welcome to the show, man. JDO, nice to have you in the house. Okay, so I'm going to leave this screen, go over to the portfolio. You'll be able to still see me and hear me. I just won't be able to see the chat. So here's the portfolio. To January 2018, I had made some money because of Dan Abramson turned me onto a cannabis stock. So I turned 23,000 into 50,000 with the cannabis, and that 50,000 went into crypto, and this is where we are today. The strategy has been really simple, right? Buy assets that I think have a future and that I can earn a yield on. And you'll see here every single one of these assets I'm earning a yield, whether it be through the platform wallet itself or through a mechanism like Celcius, Nexo, or BlockFi. All right, so here are all the assets. Here's the problem. My portfolio, although for the first 3 years, served its purpose. Its purpose was to grow. I've already previously explained some of the mechanisms in which I used to grow this portfolio. I've had to get creative. When you don't have an income, you've got to get creative. And I got creative, right? I only bought assets that produce a yield. I would occasionally collateralize a loan, buy assets when the asset went up, sell, keep the difference, right? And just rinse and repeat whenever the market opportunity was there. But now here we are. I've got a list of 35 plus assets here. And the truth of the matter is, every one of them I like, or I would not have invested into them. Here's the problem. I've got two goals that are colliding, right? They're colliding. That's the word. Lori Bearfield would correct me on my English. I've got goals that are colliding. This diverse, rich portfolio that I am very proud of building will not serve the purpose of the next phase of my life. What do you mean? What are you talking about, Jerry? You went from $50,000 to $806,000, and it was even higher, but you scooped out 40 grand to buy the property and pay all the fees and stuff. Yes, I did. Here's the problem. To finance the home and the property that I want to build, right, to do the construction, it's going to cost me like $450,000 to build my dream home. And if you're going to build a home, why not build your dream home? Well, if you look at the portfolio, $806,000, taking $450,000 out of that, not only would I need to sell about $520,000 to cover all the taxes and stuff, and with my tax loss harvesting and that's about would be my tax liability. I've done the math, and it's ugly, right? To turn this beautifully rich and diverse portfolio that's generating approximately you would call a blended rate of like 16% per year yield, blended rate between all the various interests and stuff, to come up with the money to build this property, I would devastate that. And then I started thinking, what if I take the borrow a little more seriously? What if I figure out a way to collateralize the entire portfolio? Because as it sits now, the only assets that I can collateralize are assets that are supported on platforms like Celcius, Nexo, BlockFi, etc. Now, for any of you that have dabbled in that world, you know that 3/4 of the assets I own are not supported by platforms like that. So I'm in a quandary. What am I going to do? Well, I've decided I am not going to sell the value of my portfolio. I'm going to move the value around. So what I'm started to do is go through a process of trading. I'm trading assets. I have a list of approximately 9 assets that are all supported on these lending platforms. And I will collapse the 35 assets that I've invested here into those 9 assets. Obviously, with a heavy weighting towards Bitcoin, a heavy weighting towards Cardano, a heavy weighting towards DOT, etc. And I will collateralize my way through the construction of this project. Now, if you do this blindly, this could get ugly quickly. However, I've got 2 years of experience doing collateralized loans, and I've worked out a formula that I'm not going to say is market proof, because nothing is market proof, but I believe I have the system that I can retain the value. It'll just be, instead of diversely spread through 30 plus different assets, it'll be condensed down into 9. And then I will have a relatively large platform risk. If Nexo takes a shit, I will be screwed. So I have to consider that. That's a real thing. But again, at this stage of the game, I don't know what else to do. I don't want to sell. I'm even looking at a hybrid solution of a possible 60-40 borrow sell. So instead of all borrow, maybe I sell 40. Maybe I do this. Maybe I do that. I don't know. I'm still working out some of the stuff, but I've begun the process. Today, I let go of 3 assets. I no longer own Casino Coin. And I've loved Casino Coin. Boy, that coin has done so well for me over the 2 years. There have been times where that coin has just been an absolute cash machine, and I was able to acquire other assets by liquidating 100,000 here, 200,000 coins there. My last 150,000 casino coins that I thought I'd hold on to forever, they're gone. Oh, I mean, it's actually emotional. I'm not like tore up about this process, but when you pour so much time and energy into building something, and then it's like you're taking a crowbar to it, which is kind of what I'm doing, right? I'm going into this portfolio that I have spent so much time, emotion, energy into creating, and I'm taking a crowbar to it. I am dismantling it. I am actually feeling it. I'm having emotional responses. As a matter of fact, yesterday, I literally had a friggin' not a heart attack, a panic attack because of this turmoil I was having between the goals that I was so rigid on, this discipline of, I don't care if I have to eat top ramen for 5 years. I was committed if that's what it was going to take to build what I wanted to build, because if I could build what I wanted to build, I could have what I really wanted to have in my life. So anyway, I did the casino coin. What else went today? There were 4 of them. I got my list. Let's go check out the hit list. So casino coin, bye-bye. The Holo chain token, HOT, H-O-T. The promise of decentralized internet for the world. It's gone. Songbird, what could have been the possibilities of endless yield from Songbird turned into a small chunk of Bitcoin. XDC, another XRP type lightning fast value transmission coin. I made so much money on that coin. I sold my last little bit of it today. What else? One other. And I sold all of the VET that I owned, and the only VET that remains is the VET that's owned in the Beyond Moon Investment Club's Patreon group fund. And the VThor that goes with that. All gone. All turned into Bitcoin and parked on Nexo. The idea here is that, I am making a choice, folks. I am making a very conscious choice to put quality of life ahead of the valuation or potential or anticipated end result of my work in the form of my portfolio value. But enough about me. I want to spend the rest of the show, or at least a good chunk of the show before I bring Brady in, talking about some basic concepts that I found around portfolio construction that may help and benefit you. And I hope that they do. Here they go. It's kind of an analogy from my construction days, right? Building a portfolio is very similar to building a home. It starts with a good plan. And I encourage each and every one of you that are new in here, or even that have been here for a while, to have a plan. To have a plan. Where do you want to go? What's going to be your roadmap? Right? That plan should allow for expansion and contraction. So just like if you were designing a home, do you design a home for your needs today, or do you look at what could also be your needs tomorrow? Right? If you're designing a home, do you think far enough ahead that maybe your folks get older and they move in with you, or would need to move in with you, or your children come back and start taking care of you in your elderly years? These are all things that you should consider. So there's what you want and what you need today, and what you will want and need in the future. All part of the design process when you're building your home. It should be no different when you're building your portfolio. Lastly, that plan should have a design that provides for the efficient use of energy, both in the terms of capital and education, right? Here's the thing that I've learned, and I've learned this through the anecdotal responses and information out there of others. If you do not educate yourself around money and finance, even if you come into a large sum of it, most likely you're going to lose it or piss it away. Managing money is just as important as being diligent and disciplined to earn it and to build it and to grow it. It's just as important to understand it. And through understanding it, through that education, you'll make better decisions. And when you make better decisions, you will produce better outcomes. And that's kind of been the goal of this show from day one, right? So I'm sure you're all thinking about that. Just like when you're building a home, you want to think about energy efficiency, right? You think, whether you like it or not, it's maybe not a sexy topic, but you should definitely consider insulation. Look at the environment that you're in. If you're in an environment that freezes, then in the design, you want to implement insulation around plumbing so that pipes don't freeze and burst, right? If you're in a hot climate, how do you cool what you're in? And how do you do that efficiently, right? So just like with those considerations in a home, you should have those considerations in your portfolio. Here are some suggestions. I think it's very sound, rational stuff. If you're new to investing, the most important thing is to get off of zero. In other words, pull yourself out of the world where you work your butt off, you make money, and you spend everything you make to eat, survive, clothe yourself, and entertain yourself. You got to get off of zero, meaning you've got to take some of that energy, some of that money that you create with your time and your effort, and put that into an asset that will appreciate over time. And there are tons of them. There's a stock market, there are precious metals, and there's this incredible opportunity in the digital asset space. Now, if you're new, my strongest suggestion to you would be getting off of zero means buy some Bitcoin. Buy some Bitcoin. And depending upon your appetite for risk, use a platform like a Celcius or a Nexo or a BlockFi or a Voyager to put that Bitcoin and allow those businesses to use your Bitcoin and pay you a return in Bitcoin so that you will compound more Bitcoin into your principal. Very sound. So if you're new, the most important thing is get off of zero. Now, if you're new and you're excited about this, use that enthusiasm. There is a whole world of information out there. There are YouTube channels like mine. There are incredible organizations like Real Vision. There are Hedgeye. There's a bunch of these guys that are actually educating the world around financial literacy, understanding money, understanding markets. If you're real new to this space and you're excited about the opportunities, but you don't really have a grasp on how money works and how the financial system really works, start with Mike Maloney's The Hidden Secrets of Money. It's an 8-part little series on YouTube. Each episode is no more than like 50 minutes long, and you will get a really kind of comprehensive but easy to understand and digest understanding of the history of money and how money works today, how it's created, how it's used, how it comes into being. Now, keep in mind, Mike Maloney's got a heavy slant towards gold and silver. That's his thing. So he's kind of always pushing that and using that as the answer to all these problems. But to some degree, what gold to him stands for is the solution, and that is sound money. Now, Mike and I disagree. I don't think gold is the sound money of the future. I think digital assets like Bitcoin, etc., are the sound money of the future. And there's a lot of reasons I could justify that. And there are a lot of reasons why a gold bug could tell me I'm full of poo-poo. Okay, great. Let's put that aside. But if you're here watching this channel, you're here for the crypto. You're here for investment dialogue. And that's what I'm trying to do. So this education element, Making time to learn is important. I know some of you out there are busy, right? You're busy. You've got families, you've got demands on your time, you've got a job that is fulfilling and demanding and it's probably paying you well, right? Here's the thing. You will never earn enough with your time trading it for money to have a blissful retirement. That is the truth. There is no pension. There is no 401k. There is no vehicle that you can set it and forget it. And when it's time to retire, it's going to take care of you. Those days are over. Those things worked 20 years ago. But we're in a climate now where it just doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't work. They do not produce the returns for it to work. The returns they're not keeping pace. It's like wages. They're not keeping pace with the cost of living. For those of you that have had to buy anything recently, if you bought a home recently or even looked at home prices, if you're looking at the price of gas on a pump, you're looking at what it costs to build something or do this or do that. Sure, Domino's Pizza hasn't gone up very much. Okay, great. Okay, your Netflix subscription hasn't gone up very much. Okay, great. If all you aspire to do is eat Domino's Pizza and watch Netflix in your parents' basement, then you don't need to concern yourself. Enjoy, pura vida, have a good time. If you want more than that out of life, though, you've got to buckle in. You've got to make time to educate yourself. Find mentors, right? When I first came to this space, I found Jungle Link. He was one of my mentors. He was a digital mentor to me. I would watch his channel. I would listen to the way he talked about things, and I could glean through his discussions around the assets that he was interacting with, not only how he felt about them, but how he thought about money, how he allocated money, how he acted against sometimes trend, right? Very influential for me when I first got here. And I've since found a bunch more. I found Real Vision. Raoul Powell and his crew have become digital mentors to me, right? And there are many more. I learned from a lot of guys. I watch probably 5 or 6 different channels religiously. They all have something wonderful to share. And I have a compounding effect of my education. Just like I wanted my portfolio to compound with interest in the form of value, my education is compounding. The deeper I have an understanding of something, well, let's call it inflation, then I have also insights to deflation, the contrary to that. And what are its effects and what are its outcomes? Anyway, big can of worms. The point is, educate yourself. When you've been in this space and you've got 100 hours of research into this space regarding blockchain, what is the difference between proof of work, proof of stake? Do you understand what a historic proof of stake algorithm is different than a delegated proof of stake algorithm versus a federated, Byzantine Fahrentwald algorithm like Ripple, Once you start getting down and you start really being able to understand the differences of these things, broaden your portfolio, right? Best, safest investment any new person can make is just buy some Bitcoin. Buy some friggin' Bitcoin, get off zero, start educating yourself. But once you got 100 hours of education in and you discover other things, then apply them to where you think the world is going to go and see how they fit. Do they make sense to you? Nobody should invest in something that does not make sense to them or they do not understand. And that's where diligently allocating some time every day or every week to improving your understanding of this space and money overall, it's going to benefit you a lot. When I first got here, it was about crypto. It's still about crypto today, but I also keep a very close eye, and I'm learning all the time about the greater world of money outside of crypto, the greater world of money outside of the United States, value transmission between countries that are adversarial with each other, trade, supply chains, commodities, actual commodity extraction out of the earth in different countries. And how is that going on? And how is that working? Labor around the world. All these things have an impact. We'd like to think that things are segregated and in verticals, nice, tight little verticals. The truth of the matter is everything is interconnected. And in finance, at the heart and the foundation of the entire thing, and it's the thing most people don't even spend any time understanding or learning, it's the credit markets. Understanding the global debt of not just countries, but corporations and individual households. These are important factors because they do impact economies. And if you don't understand what's there, then how are you going to understand outcomes they produce? And how could those outcomes affect you and what you're doing? I guess at the end of the day, folks, what I'm saying is spend some time, level up your education. And it should be fun and rewarding. If you're in the digital asset space and you got off zero and you got some assets, it should be fun to get into this and learn, because you're seeing value created in the form of the value of your portfolio. You know, I had 2 years where my $50,000 that I put into this was worth 23 grand, and it sucked. It sucked. It was horrible. But because I was committed, I knew that it was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when. Well, we're all watching the when roll out before our eyes. This digital asset space is in every corner of the world. And assets like Bitcoin are in every facet of every system. Individual households, people like you and I, privately held companies, ma and pa companies, dentists, doctors are putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets. It's becoming part of their quote unquote financial plan. We've got publicly traded companies getting into the mix. We've got companies related to Bitcoin becoming public companies, right? We're seeing conservative insurance companies allocating money to the acquisition of Bitcoin for the purpose of retaining their value. We're seeing pension funds buying Bitcoin. Why? Because the pension system's broke. It cannot produce the returns it needs to satisfy the pensioners that they have. Not to mention the future pensioners that are going to be wanting their pensions when they stop working, right? i.e., part of the education process is understanding demographics, understanding that the baby boomers, one of the largest, the second largest cohort of population on the planet, are all in their retirement years. And we're at peak, we're in the medium. So for the next 10 years, it's more and more of these people coming out of the workforce and wanting their pensions. So on and on and on. Sovereign nations, El Salvador taking on Bitcoin. We've got other countries talking about Bitcoin. We've got Bitcoin being talked about in the US. It's being held by politicians. There are politicians that own Bitcoin and they're supporting Bitcoin. Bitcoin's safe. It's risk-free. Will it go up or down in price on every given day? Absolutely. But Bitcoin's out of the woods. Bitcoin is no longer anything to be scared about. You just got to stomach the day-to-day volatility. But over time, it's holding up. So anyway, I have been on my rant. I've talked about buy, borrow, die. I talked about some portfolio theory. I talked about a strategy. I talked about, what it didn't include. So once you're educating, the more educated you get, the more diversified your portfolio will get. And that's fine. because you should be in a discipline of acquiring. Acquire, never stop acquiring. Whether that's through part of your paycheck goes in, or the yield that's being produced by the asset that you invested in is producing more of the asset, that is acquiring more, right? Acquire. Someday look in, if you need to, you may borrow against what you've acquired, and then do a good job of leaving that and passing that value to your heirs. All right, so that was my rant. I did it. Brady, I ranted, bro. I just crushed the rant. I want to get to the chat, but also, Brady, I want you to get yourself ready to come in because I want to go over some stuff with you. Here, let me go through. I was looking at that other screen, so boy, there's a lot of stuff in here. Johnny Midas, nice to have you. Carl Lewis, glad you made it. JDO, I think I said hello earlier, but if I didn't, Liam Shepard, right on. Jerry, the trouble with selling your labor is that your labor has no long-term residual value. Well, that's subjective. It may not produce you residual returns, but for instance, when I was in construction, if I did a remodel for somebody, they enjoyed the value for years and years after I did what I did. And clients like that would call me back when it's time to do their backyard, or call me back when it was time to paint their house, or call me back when it was time to put in a skylight or a new roof. So I don't know, but you're right. Labor and time, when you trade your time for money, it is confined. It's finite. It's finite. When you take money you've earned and you put it into an investment, it can be infinite. It may not always be infinite, but it has that possibility. Barno, Jerry, you need to be a market psychopath and have no feelings, but I know it's still hard. Top sell your babies. Here's the thing. It's not so much feelings. It's like, how many of you have gotten married? That's a great analogy. How many of you have either been married or are married now and took the commitment you made when you made your vows serious? Took them serious. And then that relationship dissolved. It's sad. It's sad for a lot of reasons. But part of the sadness, at least in my experience, is when you make a commitment to something and you don't follow through with it, you kind of let yourself down. And that's a part of this. Now, I understand that there's a lot of justifications strategically for why I'm doing what I'm doing, but it doesn't take that feeling of I didn't accomplish my goal away, right? I built this phenomenal portfolio, and I still have it. I mean, none of the value's gone, but like just letting go of some of that letting go of the casino coin this morning, or the hot token. These are coins that I bought for, 0.00006, 2.5 years ago. That over the last the last year and a half, produced returns that allowed me to buy pieces of Solano, allowed me to buy pieces of this project or that project or this project to expand that portfolio to 31 assets. Wow. All right. Enough about that. Thank you, Brady. You're helping me a lot here. JDL, how did you do your due diligence on Nexo? You mean Nexo? Or any platforms, so that the world's empty gocks are not part of your future? All right. It's actually kind of simple. I'd read, right? I'd read what they put out, which is kind of marketing. Then I would go to and look at what people who have used them say about them. You can find forums and posts and things of that nature. And then, because I had a tiny little YouTube channel, I would invite these people onto my show. I would get to interview them and show them to you, but I also would get, 15, 20 minutes before the recording and sometimes up to an hour after the recording, talking to them and really using my own intuition, my own sniffing out bullshit skills to assess, are these people that I want to trust with what I got going on? And it's really kind of that simple. So it's a combination of what are other people saying about them? What do they say about themselves, and how are they going to go about doing what they do and what their vision is? And then actually talking to them, human being to human being. All right. Hey, Jerry, greetings from Palm Desert, California. Johnny Midas, man, he is all over Southern California. All right, here we go. You cannot save your way to retirement. Nope, you cannot. But you can invest yourself to retirement. Hey, I want to get to this SS. Okay. Jerry, once Ripple wins XRP, the 55 billion XRP will be burnt. No, I don't know what coffee you're drinking. There is no incentive for Ripple to burn their treasury. It isn't going to happen. There is no game theory on the planet that justifies Ripple demolishing, destroying, burning, gifting away their treasury. That makes no sense. There's no game theory on planet that justifies that. So I don't see that happening. Jerry, who are your top 4 or 5 channels? Okay, great. Okay. For commentary, for editorial, for talking about what he's seeing, Jungling. I love every video that guy puts out, I watch. And it's for the editorial. It's for the way he delivers. I get to see through his eyes how he's seeing things. And that to me is good for a different opinion than my own. So Jungle Link, digital asset news. I love digital asset news. Every single day he's telling me what would used to take me, he'll tell me in 20 minutes what would take me 3 or 4 hours to sift through blog posts and Twitter and Facebook. He tells me in 15, 20 minutes. Tuesdays and Thursdays, Nick Black's got a little coffee and crypto channel where, macro, and he's talking about this and he's talking about the things he sees. I claim a lot of that. And then numero uno, that's helped me for my education has been Real Vision. Real Vision Finance has got a free YouTube channel. Real Vision Finance has got free Real Vision Crypto. Real Vision Finance has free every single day of the market, the daily briefing. All free. So much so that when I did get a little money, now I got a subscription to Real Vision because I just love Real Vision. All right, JJ, I hope that answers your question. JJ, understanding how to evaluate project, knowing basic economics and monetary policy, plus investor psychology has informed my last 2 years. The average Joe doesn't get those things. Well, JJ, you're right. And why? It's a shame. But why? Hang on, Brady. JJ, the truth is, just like with medicine and nutrition, the powers that be do not include financial literacy education. Period. It's not available. You will not find it in kindergarten. You will not find it in grade school, junior high, high school, junior college. You won't even find it in most 4-year degree programs. And the truth of the matter is, even some master's programs that are about finance, like business administration, you're not going to get financially literate. But lucky for us, we have the internet. And we have communities, and we can share things with each other, just like I shared with you guys all tonight. If you're new, or even if you've been in crypto for a long time, but you really don't understand money, really, or if you're, like intellectually honest enough to admit that, go watch Mike Maloney's Hidden Secrets of Money. And then have that lead you to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And you will build a knowledge of how the world works. And when you start to glean an understanding of how money works and how value is transmitted and how decisions are made and how policies craft something so that it's in favor of one thing but against the other, then when you start to make investment decisions, you're making informed decisions, not just on the thing that you think might be cool, but what really could be valuable. Case in point, let's talk about this for a second. I'm going to go on a rant. It's rant time. This is just my opinion. I'm just one old, bald, fat guy in Costa Rica. But this is how I see it. Interesting to watch what's transpired over the last 10, 15 days, right? Or whatever it is. Case in point, 2 years ago, year and a half ago, whatever it was, I bought 1,000 Mana tokens, 3 cents a piece-ish. It was like $32 to buy 1,000 Mana. They did nothing. I got up to like 50 cents at one time. I was like, oh, hey, okay. So anyway, Mana, Decentraland, all about the metaverse, right? I had an experience with Second Life. Spent a year in that thing. It was fun as hell. All the metaverse is that on steroids. Okay, great. Bunch of decentralized shit for the metaverse through blockchain projects. Great. Facebook comes out and says, hey, we're so serious about this, we're changing our name and we're dedicating $10 billion to this. And tokens like the Sandbox and Mana, boom, explode. Okay, that's great. Am I rushing out to buy Sandbox and Mana because it's the future? No, and I'll tell you why. Facebook is never going to utilize those other things. They're going to build their own, and they're going to bring their 3.5 billion user network to it. And you know how they'll incentivize that 3.5 billion user to come and play in Facebook's metaverse and not Sandbox and not Decentraland? They have the money to not only provide you $5 Oculus sets that cost $200 now or whatever, but they'll bring the cost of production down and they'll get those things out to you for next to nothing. They will throw money at the communities, i.e., you think it's great. Snoop Dogg is on Sandbox. Cool. He's on Sandbox now. Zuckerberg opens up his wallet. You want to see how fast Snoop Dogg jumps over to Facebook? All you'll see is a vapor trail. You'll hit the coordinates for the Snoop Dogg concert lounge on Sandbox, and all you'll see is tumbleweeds. They are going to build moats to protect their business model. Am I saying other places won't do well? No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying the big dog on the block is going to be the one that puts the money into it and brings the community to it. And Facebook has the resources to do that. So am I going to rush out and spend a lot of money in a metaverse play for a blockchain project that doesn't have the horses that a Facebook does? It's going to compete with $1 trillion company? No, I'm not. You can, and I wish you luck. I really do. If the numbers you've crunched and the understanding of macroeconomics that you have, and the way business works and the way human behavior interacts with economics, i.e. behavioral economics, if you have an understanding of these things, and after you've analyzed this, decide to plunk your money down into those things, I hope that you do well. I won't be participating. It's too early in the game, and I think the game is stacked in their favor. We'll see. Go decentralization. I hope it trumps money. I hope it trumps all the capital that they can throw at it to bring their users to it. I hope that's true. So that's my little rant. Sorry, it's over. Okay. You need, Crawford, I'm just going to say you need to do that with Social Security. It's only got 12 years left. It wouldn't shock me one bit if the Treasury Department starts allocating money to Bitcoin to prop up what we would call these deliverables that are unfunded. They have so many unfunded projects that they're unfunded. They need to be funded. So how do you create funds? Okay, that wouldn't shock me one bit. Okay, what else we got here? Brady, when do you anticipate ADA pumping? That's not my game. Go find, you can do a search in YouTube and find when is ADA going to pump, and you'll get 800 guys telling you ADA is going to be $100,000 next Sunday, 3 p.m. in the morning. That's not my game. Long-term project. I have no idea when the market is going to realize its value. I can tell you this, Sam, and thanks for tuning in, Sam. I believe Cardano is undervalued. Therefore, I will acquire more even at these price points. Cardano is undervalued. They're just the academic process as it pertains to the kind of technology they're building is sound. Rug pulls and moving fast and breaking things are fun, but they suck for market participants. The user experience, I don't know if you've ever been part of something that got rug pulled or broke or bugs or whatever. It's not fun. It's not fun. And I think Charles Hoskinson and his team are doing things the right way. All right, SSSS. XRP will eat Bitcoin for breakfast. The XRP use case, billions upon billions of dollars, maybe trillions on an hourly basis. Cross for the payment bank, cross-border payments for bank payments with countries. It's crazy. SSS, go XRP Army. Good luck to all of you. Thanks for having me. XRP brought me to crypto 3 years ago, 3+ years ago. Brought me here. I will forever be grateful to XRP. It brought me here. I still own some XRP. And that's here. I'm not in the business of shattering your hopes and dreams. But if you were asking me for advice, it would not be invest in XRP. Jerry, which platform was that? The one that you track your portfolio value with? JJ, that is Live CoinWatch, which is just another one of those like CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko or CoinPavrika. It's Live CoinWatch. You sign up, use your email thing, super easy. There's a portfolio feature, right? So there's coins where you can see all, here are the coins by market cap and what they're doing, You can go to portfolio and put your portfolio in there. It's like having, I don't know how many of you use BlockFolio on your phone, but it's a better version of BlockFolio on the PC. I love it. You can put all kinds of deltas in it. It's got all great. It tracks itself. So if, like, for instance, let's just go to it real quick. All right, so which means I got to go back over here. Okay, so for instance, pick a coin, any coin. Got Solana. If Solana's price goes up, and you see where this is my portfolio value of it, 24,000. If this should shoot up to over 33,000, or the price of Nexo goes down, it automatically adjusts itself. So this will always be in relation. So the most valuable coin I got is Bitcoin, Cardano, Ethereum. Shit, a week and a half ago, Cardano was my most valuable asset because its value in my portfolio was the largest one. And you got all these deltas. You can customize it, dude. You got all these deltas, and I use all these deltas. And I'm using from the all-time high as a measurement because when I make investment decisions, I look how close to its all-time high is it. Hence, when I go all the way down to XRP and I see XRP is still 70% away from its all-time high, I wonder, if I wanted to, this would actually probably be something I invest in because it's so far away from its all-time high. Right? Why go put money in something that's 8% away from its all-time high when I could go put something that's 70% away from its all-time high? But I'm no longer in buy new asset mode. I'm in portfolio reconstruction mode. Okay, how does someone new to crypto that is still learning encourage others to learn along with them? That is great. Study together. Watch videos together. Join my Patreon group and be part of the club together. Get around like-minded people. Whether it be come over for coffee, or I'll meet you at the coffee place, or let's sit down and catch market conversations with Jerry. It's Friday night, or let's tune into Jungle Link together, or let's go to digital asset news site and watch a video and talk about it afterwards, and then go Google some stuff after, and whatever. Make it fun. Make it fun. Okay, JJ, ain't that the truth, Jerry? I've gotten a bigger education from you and Nick than any time in college. JJ, thanks, man. I'm just a student too, man. That's my deal. I'm a student. All right, hi, Lee. I have not seen Lee in the stream before. Do you put all your crypto on Nexo to earn interest? Do you think that too much risk? Not your key, not your crypto. I love to earn yield, but I'm scared. All right. Everybody should assess their own risk tolerance, right? What is your tolerance of risk? You should know that. There are a lot of ways to earn yield. You can have your own platform wallet. For instance, if you like Cardano, you can have a Yuri wallet. You can have a Daedalus wallet. You own the keys to that wallet. When you put your assets on that wallet, nobody can confiscate those. They're yours unless you give your private keys up to somebody. And you could stake through that wallet and earn yield. Safe. The only risk is if the asset goes to zero itself, right? If Cardano goes away, then all the wonderful thing about the private keys and the yield and all that, if it goes to zero, doesn't mean anything. But if you don't think, so there's a lot of ways. I am comfortable using Nexo because of the research that I've done in the plan that I got. But believe me, if I need to, I will exit that platform if information that needs to shape the way I think says, hey, Jerry, this presents a much greater risk than what you initially started, then I need a plan to unwind whatever I've done with them and get out. Hey, Brady, what was that one I just missed? You put it up on the... Jerry, I can't catch the lives all the time, but I do watch all the replays. And one thing I can say for sure, without pissing in your pocket, one thing that is undervalued is the info of people like you. Oh, Carl Lewis. My head's getting bigger. You wouldn't know that, but if I tried to put on my hat, it wouldn't be able to fit because my head's gotten so big. Thank you, Carl. All right. What else do we got here? Anything else, Brady? Because I really want to hear your honey-laden voice. Okay. Oh, what was that gaming thing? I love gaming. Gaming coins are popping. Is that off? Popping off? Don't miss out on Equilibrium Games. New coin on Bitrue. 4% staking. It runs on the XLP ledger. Thank me later. I noticed my 100 million. Well, right on. Good for you. Thoughts on Hedera Hashgraph? Okay. When I did my research on Hedera Hashgraph, God, it's been a long time ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And I found it interesting. I really did. That whole Whisper protocol thing, I found really interesting as a consensus mechanism, right? For validate. I really found that interesting. And then I listened to a couple of the young men that are executives with that organization in about a half an hour interview with them. And I went, these knuckleheads, the second they get a couple dollars in their pocket, they're buying Lambos, blah, blah, blah. These are not dudes that I want to put money. They're not guys I did not see them as guys that were going to roll up their sleeves and work their fucking ass off. Work their ass off for the next 5 years to make that project really something. I think I just got the sense that the second some real money came into that project, they were off buying Lambos and renting yachts and, having Snoop Dogg come. Yeah, I just did not get a good vibe from the executive team, so I passed on the whole project. All right, could be a mistake. Maybe it's the best thing since sliced bread. I don't know. We're all going to miss something. I will tell you that. None of us will catch them all. None of us will catch them all. JDO, the Fed can print. Wait. Fed can just print fiat for Social Security. It doesn't mean to have any value to it, but dollars will be there. Yeah. Yes. A famous Fed chairman years ago said, the United States will never go broke. We will always pay our debts. And when asked why, he says, because we have a printing press. Yes, throw some likes down. I have no idea. I don't see any of that stuff on StreamYard. I just see how many people are tuning in from wherever they're tuning in from, and then I see you guys in the chat. All right, Brady, unmute, baby. Talk to Daddy. Come on.
What's happening?
What's shack-a-lackin', Brady?
Thinking about all the things I need to do, want to do, have to do, and can't wait to put off a little bit longer. Life, I guess. That's what's happening.
A little longer. Procrastination.
It's good. It's good for some things, horrible for others, and a bad idea for pretty much everything else.
Dude, hang on a second.
It does.
I'm sorry, Brady. I'll catch Barno after your thought. I apologize. I should not have stepped on you right there. That was horrible.
No. Hey, that's fine. My sorrows are my own, but it has. Listening to your story kind of reminded me of, things that I would contemplate back then, imagining what the next 18 or 16 months would look like. And this was before macroeconomics and before I had a better idea of what was actually taking place, not just because I had the information that brought me there that said, hey, this system is broken, but the information to actually be able to say, and here's how, and to know where to go with my understanding of what's broken in the system versus how people think the system is broken, given what they're spoken, or given the words they're given, in the way in which they are spoken to, and with which words they're given to describe what's happening. So it's it's knowing how the world is upside down in some cases and not in others. So it's a bit of an Alice in Wonderland.
Well, just discerning what is real and actionable versus what is BS is kind of an investor's job, right? What's the FUD? What's real? We're all facing that. And when you don't have a basis or a foundation, it's easy to be swayed by anything that sounds logical or reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I want to bring up.
No, go ahead.
My brain's working 1,000 minutes. I wanted to acknowledge Barno McBarno. I see him in Nick's chat all the time. He shows up in my show all the time. And he's saying after a year and a half of watching Nick and I and some others, a friend and he will be starting their own show called Crypto Theme Park. Wish us well. I'll tell you what, man. Barno, reach out to me, Twitter, Facebook, here, whatever. When you get the channel, I'll be a subscriber. And if you ever wanted me to help collaborate on anything, I am all about supporting expansion of sound practices. Doesn't matter if it's crypto, finance, macro, don't matter. If I can help, I'd be more than happy to help. And I've appreciated all your support and contributions throughout your experience with me on my channel and all your interactions with Nick. How does someone new to crypto that is still learning
this one?
Yeah, get together. Interact with other people. Hey, man, have you heard about this? Check out what I'm trying to do. And I'll tell you what. You know what the biggest catnip in the world is? Results. 2 years. I was deep into this space. I'm shouting at the mountaintops, all my friends, come to digital assets. Do you know how convincing it is? I'm the same guy, same magnetic personality, same charismatic dude. But when you turn $50,000 into $23,000, and they're going, well, how much have you made? What have you done? What results have you produced? I've turned $50,000 into $23,000. Oh, you made $23,000 profit? No. The $50,000 that I put into this investment is worth $23,000. They're like, and you want me to come into this? What have you been smoking? Results. You want to encourage somebody to get on the board? Show them results. Right? It's like, show me the money. People don't want to hear a story. Go ahead.
And also being correct isn't, people think that you need to be right in order to show someone results, but it's actually showing someone that you've done the right thing 51 or 52% or 49 or 67 or 92. It's like your statistics or your prospectus, or at least your past so yeah, there's a lot to, it's not just being right, it's you want to be rich, so you have to schedule your whatever your dollar cost averages are on whatever date. And how you said about doing it with the numbers, you could see what has gone down 24%, and you can see what's gone up 24%.
But that's all short-term stuff. It's funny.
But in order to make your dollar cost averages, it would make most sense.
Cost averaging is first. Most new people.
Right.
Funny story, Brady. Dan Abramson, who's in the chat right now, dear friend of mine, 30 plus years, buddy. Me and him been in fantasy football and baseball leagues for 30 plus years straight, and used to play ball together when we could move around and shit like that. This was Christmas. No, this was December of 2017. I wasn't in crypto yet, but Dan and I were both investors in the cannabis space in Canada. And so we talk about what was going on. And he's like, Yaddy, I just got me some Bitcoin. I went, Bitcoin? I kind of heard about it once before. This poker guy tried to get me to give him money so he could play poker, and he gave me Bitcoin. I was like, nah. My buddy Dan, Bitcoin, dude, this thing is just going insane. And I remember so vividly, I don't know if he remembers this. Dan, chime in if you remember this. On the phone, I told him, you are a moron. You're an absolute idiot for putting your money into a digital thing. What's it built on? What's intrinsic value does it have? What's behind this thing? Gold, I understand. If you buy a gold ETF, there's gold in a vault. It backs it up. Okay, great. I get that. You invest in a company like Aurora Cannabis. It's a company. They're producing a product. They're going to sell the product. They're going to have a revenue. I totally get all that. I did not understand the dynamics of digital assets or the value proposition that they propelled. And I was like, you are a moron. Now I was a moron because I was so why I was a moron wasn't that I was wrong about anything I said. I was the moron for dismissing out of hand something I didn't understand. And that's one of the most valuable lessons any of us can learn, is to be open-minded enough that if somebody that you like, you trust, you know, and care about is telling you something, even though your initial reaction will be, I don't understand this, therefore I need to dismiss it, to go, okay, let me take this in, start asking questions. I think that's a really productive response. And that is kind of how I've been when new people who I've known for a long time are, and I'm now addressing this, I don't come with, the hypey stuff. It's like, hey, how do you plan on taking care of your retirement? How do you plan on taking care of yourself when you're no longer able to work for money and stuff like that? Oh, really? Okay. Well, have you thought about this? And it's not even necessarily general digital assets. It's like, Have you thought about what assets can support you in those times? You know, your cars and your jet skis and your motorcycles probably won't. So what are you thinking about? You know what I mean? So I kind of go, it's just ask questions, be open-minded, because I know most people's initial response to something they don't understand is going to be dismiss you. And I don't really like leading with, hey, I turned 23 grand into, 800 plus $1,000. Although I have done that. It's not the best way. It's hypey. When the real thing is, hey, if you want to get, how do you plan to take care of yourself really? And have you really investigated that? Well, I got a 401k. Okay, great. Have you done the numbers? Do you know what the decay on that's going to be? Do you know what the actual purchasing power of that's going to be when you start collecting it? Have you thought about the tax consequences in the year that you start collecting it? Will the tax regime change? Because all those 401k distributions, or you're going to get taxed. You're going to get taxed for your retirement at the time where you no longer have an income. Talk about bending over, right? Normal 401ks, at the time you're going to collect them is when you're going to pay taxes on them. And when you're collecting them, you no longer have an income. You're no longer employed, which is the time you can least afford to pay tax. It's just insane. It's friggin' insane. Anyway, I ranted. Brady, final thoughts.
Always be prepared to provide facts and support to carry an opposing view. Because I think you can, I don't want to say that's the best way to do it, but I've found, at least verbally, since it's easier to communicate, or at least it's faster to communicate with a conversation with someone verbally than it is to write it out. If the time that you're spending with someone is taking either their side with them or their opposing side, the chances of that conversation carrying on wherever it happens to go, but maintaining that conversation increases, or the likelihood of maintaining it increases if you can carry an opposing view, if that's the type of person it is, or if that's the type of conversation, or if you're in a room full of Bitcoin maxis and that's all they want to talk about. How do you chameleonize yourself to engage with them and try and learn something, while also seeing if you can, sneak something in that they may not know, but might hear subtly and want to know. So you be confrontive, but don't be combative. Be compassionate and learn.
Right on.
So it's kind of like a teach-learn loop. My thoughts. Right on. Oh, and do your taxes, because no one likes to not pay taxes. I don't know.
Right on. So, folks, I want to just say thank you. Thank you for all of you that continue to come in like every Friday night, and for the newer folks that are just kind of finding the show. If you're newer to crypto, or even if you've been here a long time, but you feel like maybe you could like really sharpen your sword on macroeconomics or this, that, and the other thing, or you want like really specific tools, procedures, tricks, insights on how to craft a really high performance portfolio, consider joining the Patreon group. We've got some open slots left. I think 2 of the tiers still have open slots. 1 of the tiers is full. You'll have to go to the link in the thing to see and read the little blurb. But it's been really beneficial for me to be a part of it. And the members that are a part of it, I'm getting a lot of great feedback. So, and not only will you learn, you'll profit. And that is kind of a wonderful combination, learning and profiting, and then profiting and learning more and profiting some more. It's this beautiful, virtuous cycle. And I would hope that all of us find a way and means to make that happen. This virtuous cycle of learn and profit, profit and learn. And one builds on the other, and the other builds on the other. And the next thing you know, it's dispersing like a virus. And there's no inoculation. There's no vaccine. Folks, next week, come back for Brady and I. and some incredible guests that I'll have lined up, because next week is get a guest in the studio and talk about something amazing. And of course, share all your comments. So until next week, Brady and I say, Pura Vida and ciao.